if you clicked here, you probably have the same question I do, and I decided to sit down and check in with myself on this question to see what if there is any yeah, so hey, if you clicked on this video, you probably have the same question I do, and that is how does one know they're becoming a good person? And so I decided to generalize that question into what is a good person. So the first thing I want to mention off is this archetypal Abe and Cain, Abe and or Abel and Cain story. Sorry. So in the Bible, if you're not Christian, there is this story of these two brothers after the first generation of the first generation of people, Adam and Eve, get kicked out of like paradise or whatever. And this one brother is Abel and the other one Cain. The Abel brother is able to basically do work and get whatever reward he wants out of it, and he's able to live a very lavish lifestyle and be able to do whatever he wants however he wants. And then Cain, he puts in the same amount of work presumably, if not maybe more, and gets almost none of those results, and therefore he grows envious of Abel and eventually kills him. So why do I mention this story? It's because the people around you often look like Abel. They look like they're able to get whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want, because that is the side of them that you are capable of seeing, right? And then there's the Cains, which is probably the internal, where you are constantly trying to sorry, I'm just seeing a car back over now. You constantly trying to see what is bad within yourself as the Cain, right? Because that is the internal, is what we're putting it as in this video. So, however, I did find a counter to this, and that is you can only truly see one person, and that is yourself. Now, you can only see yourself because only you know the actual fallacies and the bad interpretations and the actions that you've taken, right? The person across the street doesn't know that you're an excessive alcoholic, right? Or whatever it may be, okay? Well, maybe they do know if you drink outside and you're screaming and hitting something, or hopefully not someone, but anyways. So, going off of that, you really start to get an understanding of why people look really good and why you look really bad. So, a good question to ask yourself is, do you have an outlined ideal self? I asked this question and I got like a half answer. I'd say yes. I'll lean more towards yes, but the only reason why is because I actually sat down and I'm like, okay, this is the ideal house, this is the ideal cars, and this is the ideal person that goes with these things, right? And I got the material stuff out of the way first, so that way it wouldn't be a distraction for me. So then when I could write about the ideal self, I could really pay attention to my characteristics, and therefore I did. So to do that, I recommend, right? But if you already have an outlined version of your ideal self, okay, I want you to look at the character achievements and the objective achievements, right? And I guess I should replace objective with physical, right? And then character with internal. So, do you have any physical or internal achievements that you know lead you to your ideal self? Because if you do, that's a positive thing, and that's a thing that you should really be thankful that you've developed, and that you should take more, I would say pride, but that's not the right word, but take more pride into having that ability to do that thing, right? Because someone else right next to you may not have ever been able to do that thing before, right? That's for starters. And second of all, you're actually moving in the correct direction for once, so you have to really reward yourself. And I'm not saying reward yourself by doing some dog shit like eat a tub of ice cream or something. That's not rewarding yourself. That's poisoning yourself. There's a very distinct difference between rewarding and poisoning yourself, and it's a very fine line. You have to make sure you don't cross that line, because otherwise you get really messed up. I mean, think about this, right? You're sober for 21 years of your life. And at age 21, you drink alcohol. But there is no precipice that you or anyone else has set for you, like maybe your parents, on when it's acceptable to drink alcohol. So, since that usually defaults to the primate in your mind, they will say, well, this thing makes you feel good right now, therefore, we should do this all the time, every day, no matter what. And then nothing is rejecting that idea in that moment, right? Because you're drunk, you can't really think. And then afterwards, you become a excessive alcoholic and you don't really know why. It's like, well, if you look back at the first time you drank at your 21st birthday, and you're sitting there, you're taking some weird shit because like you don't even know what the hell it is. You just kind of like pick the thing and you're like, oh, here we go. But the thing is that if you don't understand what you're doing, it's going to poison you. I think that's the main takeaway, right? It would be like, it's how you get the classic, like if you go to the gym, right? If you know what a gym is, right? Which I assume most people do. It's like the people that go to the gym that try to optimize their exercise, they're the exact same mind operation as an alcoholic. They are just trying to go for the best thing possible in the short term. It's like, okay, but as long as you don't drink, as long as you go to the gym, you're fine. You can worry about optimizing later. You're an excessive alcoholic. If you just at least stop drinking for one day, that's good. That's a good place to start. You don't have to like try to completely quit cold turkey, right? And now you could do that in a progressive way, or if you're someone who likes to go cold turkey like I do. Well, I'm not an alcoholic, but like if there's like an addiction thing, I like to go with the cold turkey attempt. But either way, you should choose the thing that will help you. And then you'll become closer to your ideal self, and you'll probably be on the way to becoming a good person. At least, that's what I've seen, right? And I guess one last thing that I want to make sure about before you leave this video is, are you too focused on yourself? Now, mentioning this, if you are too focused on yourself, the problem with that is that you miss out on if you look up Pavlov's hierarchy of needs, you miss out on the, I guess, sex part, right? Or the social part. And that's because if you're too focused on yourself, you won't understand the importance of other people. And it's not because you think that, they're not necessary or they're bad. It's rather because you have your priorities so aligned to yourself that you can't really take the time to understand that other people have needs as well. And if you are close to them, you should provide for those needs. And in fact, you should be able to provide for those needs in excess. That will make you a much better person than being the best thing that you physically could in yourself, right? The only way, I found this very interesting, the only way you can know that if you're becoming a good person is if you are judged as a good person by other people, right? Think about it. If there's one person on this entire planet, how are they going to know that thing's good, that thing's bad? Nothing's taught them, right? I mean, they've probably been dead by infancy because they wouldn't be able to feed themselves. But like, pretend that didn't happen. Pretend that little like survival thing didn't happen. They just boom became a human being, right? They wouldn't know what's good or bad. They would just look at the world and be like, oh, that's a weird, like, they don't think of a trash, like, I'm looking at a trash can outside right now, and they'd be like, weird shape. Actually, they probably wouldn't even know what the words are. They just kind of look at it and just be like, maybe they're even sharp, maybe there's, I don't even know. Like, when you get to that point, there's so much emptiness and nothingness that there's nothing there, right? That's why other people are needed, so that way standards can be set and people can build to those standards. Otherwise, it's just pure chaos, which you've kind of seen in America, I live in America, with like riots, politics, I can't speak, and I find that so fascinating because you would think by the time that they understood that there's chaos going on within their own structure that's supposed to keep them in order, they would understand that they have to revert back to those things. But we live in 2023, people are still talking about COVID for some reason, and we don't even know what's going to happen. So, what I'd like to say is thank you, and I hope that this video has helped you understand the concept of how you could become a better human being. I had this question myself, so I figured if I answered it to the extent that I could, to the extent that I felt that I could, I would be able to express that to my audience, and therefore, hopefully they would get the understanding that I grasp from it as well. Or maybe get a different understanding that might be better than mine. Who knows? So, appreciate you for watching, and as always, we're here to help you help them.